Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Dom here. Today we're looking at gimmicks, trying to explain them for some people who may be confused on it. As always, though, keep in mind that the game does have a built-in handbook here. It has a lot of explanation for you guys, explanation better than what I could probably give, honestly, but to give a visual representation and give a voice behind some stuff and give my thoughts on it so far and how I've tweaked it and made it work and seeing how it lives up to 2016 essentially. With 2016, you had the gimmicks that were bound to faces and heels. You had gimmicks that could just utterly flop, given how a mod was made. A little bit different here. So, for instance, let's take a look at somebody such as like David Starr, okay? He's working an arrogant heel gimmick, and it's adequate. We have some pros and cons. Some stuff that you might be able to take off the bat is you might have some bonuses to merch. You might have some bonuses for momentum. See, we can hear that the losses hurt momentum more than usual here. So if he's losing matches, it's going to hurt him a lot more running this gimmick in particular. And I think in this way, it not only does it make it more of a unique system, I think it's honestly one of the more underrated things that have been changed, because maybe people haven't been able to really realize that if you click and drag, you can actually move this around here, kind of fine tune it. So if you want a more creative, unique, or more of a generic and safe, and it tells you here on the bottom, with generic gimmicks, it's less likely to have very low ratings, but it won't get a very high rating either. Whereas unique, you'll have more of a chance of becoming a very low or very high. Same with safe and creative gimmicks, though. Maybe it'll depend on how much you'll need to tweak it, if you can run it for years on end, essentially, stuff like that. Now on the right hand side here gives us a nice little breakdown. I find this much more easier for people to see, okay, so David Starr, he can work the swagger gimmick particularly good, but then why is it in the case that he's working as an adequate? Why is he not working as someone who's very well in his gimmick compared to somebody such as like Gregory Iron here with the fan favorite? And I think that boils down to a lot of, yes, TEW can have some randomness to it too, but it also has to deal with this little sliding scale here for the generic, safe, unique, and creative. Of course, people, if you ever have trouble getting some inspiration of what someone should have as a gimmick, there is the built-in inspiration thing, which is pretty cool. You can search it, which is actually just a filter, and you can have a basis. So if I want him to do some of the swagger gimmicks, I can even exclude the ones that the game would say, hey, he wouldn't do these ones as well. Now, this doesn't really play too much of a factor. Honestly, this is more of, like faces and heels for the gimmick, if it's more tuned towards that. Similar to in 2016, I would say this is more a face gimmick or heel gimmick. You could work it essentially as a heel gimmick also if it's built for face, because as you can see with the gimmick name, we could name it anything. We could name it literally, juggling potato, literally. And as goofy as that sounds, it has no impact there. It all boils down to these two whole parts here with the sliding scale and the basis format area with the standard, the badass, dominant, realistic, legitimate, mysterious, occult, offbeat, unstable, swagger, Weasley, underdog, gimmicky, cartoonish, and comedy there. So let's take a look at someone else on my roster here who may be doing really well or really bad in this case. So you can see awful gimmick for Mike Rollins. Now he probably, offbeat, unstable, probably has that because he can't play that gimmick. You can see in that part of where, okay, you got to really pay attention to what the game is doing for your wrestlers, because if it's saying, hey, his default gimmick when it's converted over, isn't going to be something that's going to work for this company in particular. And I think you also want to pay very much attention to your product, though, because some companies and some products with their fan bases will be more vocal towards certain gimmicks. Now, I've got it pretty nice here with the anti-establishment hardcore, but if we take a look here and we change our product base, we can see some other ones here where the fans won't like certain gimmicks. It'll tell us what gimmicks won't get over with the fans. It also tells us, hey, if we do comedy gimmicks on our stars, if they'll be actually able to do that or not, rise to the ranks of stars or major stars, or if it will essentially cap them at the recognizable and well-known areas. So those are all things to keep in mind there when you're going through and picking out a gimmick for your wrestlers. Essentially, like I said, there's always multiple factors in TW to keep in mind, but hopefully that gives a little bit of explanation for you guys there. Like I said, if you go down to the gimmick page here, though, for those that don't have the skin, you can just click on the fan favorite gimmicks, by the way, but I am using the blue and gold skin. Makes it pop out a little bit more with the X's to say, hey, here's a reminder of places to click. You know, you can have the rename, so if you're like, I named it something awful, you can change it there. It won't have any penalty at all for you guys. If you want to tweak the gimmick and it will have some fine tuning, that'll be pretty good there to stretch out the lifespan of that gimmick. You can completely drop it. Now, some companies, though, based on their products, might not even need you to essentially have a gimmick. You could just have it standard and won't have much impact at all, which is pretty nice. So, like I said, it really boils down to what you want to do for that wrestler, but how it ties into your product, because product is everything in TEW, guys. So, with always, though, if you guys have any questions, leave them down below and we'll answer them. We got some more TW content on the way. Stay tuned for some more WCW returns. And with that, everybody, have a good day and keep it safe as always.